Well, welcome everyone to Increase Your Business Virtually. Today's presentation is going to be moderated by SagePresence co-founder Pete Machalek. So we're thrilled to have Pete here as he interviews one of our newest Sages and team members, Laurie Currell. She's going to be our guest speaker today to talk about business development. She's an expert and leader in that.
Really, it is about writing it out, practicing it until it's comfortable. The words have to be yours. One of the things I never teach people, I never say you have to use these words, but knowing what you're going to say, write it out, practice it, make it your own. And one of the things I suggest, really listen to how you sound. Leave a voicemail for yourself with your introduction of your call, your little value proposition, and the purpose of your call with the benefit. Just to hear the words you use and the way you say those words to understand, is that how you want to come across? It's the best way to know how you are.
Man, I love that advice. And that's, I over the course of the last 20 years of me leaving messages, I probably 10% of the messages that I have left have been way too long. And I think the best way to determine that is exactly with that exercise you're just talking about. I mean, would I listen to the whole dang thing? and if not,
would you
find a way to shorten it down. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
One add-on to that, to the conversation comes in about how is calling someone when you're uncomfortable any different now than in the virtual world? And I think there's sometimes this idea that now all of these calls have to occur in the Zoom space, but what's your recommendation just for that old-fashioned phone call versus having to see someone on video?
Well, what I will say is that because we don't know whether they're in the office and working, whether they're on their cell phone remotely, whether they know, maybe they were expecting a call from someone other than you, most likely. It's really important, and it's always important, but now more than ever, it's incredibly important to be respectful of these folks' time. And I highly recommend that we always make sure it's a good time for them to talk with us. Now, some of you in the audience might be saying, wait a minute, what if they say, no, it's not a good time? Well, you want to know that, because we certainly don't want to be talking to someone that is on a ladder, that is on their way out the door, that who knows what they're doing. Maybe they were just simply expecting a call from somebody else. So that's how you do that is totally up to you. It can be as simple as saying, do you have a minute? Maybe it can be, I know you weren't expecting my call today, because they don't know whether you're the plumber that's coming in, that's going to be coming there in 20 minutes or who it is. So I know you weren't expecting my call today. Do you have a minute? Okay.
That's great. Yeah, I totally agree. And if they say, well, I've got about 2 minutes, in my mind, that's enough time to actually schedule a real call. I'm not going to try to squeeze a full-fledged call into those 2 minutes. So instead, I'll say, oh, okay, great. Can we take a minute and schedule time to actually talk for 10 or 15 minutes? It would be about this, the benefit to you would be this, that way. I'm not trying to speak a mile a minute and just cram a full-fledged discovery into 120 seconds.
Yeah, that never works. And even if they say, no, I'm sorry, no, it's not a good time. I totally understand when would be a better time to reach you, and try to nail them down on that as to a time. And you're accomplishing a couple of different things. You're putting them at ease, but we're also reducing that perception that we are salespeople, that we're trying to sell them something. We really want to avoid sounding like the reason that we have a do not call list, right? You remember people would call you and they'd mispronounce your name. They'd ask you how you're doing when they could care less, and then they would just proceed to let her rip. So we really want to avoid that and really just show that we respect them.
Can you talk about that how you doing thing a little bit more? I mean, when I first heard you advise me to not waste their time with that, I'm like, boy, I thought it was a good idea to have a little bit of small talk. I thought it was a good idea to like be human right from the get-go. I was surprised when you told me, don't do that.
Again, it's putting yourselves in their shoes. How do you feel when somebody that you don't know asks you how they are? I don't know if you've noticed, but at the grocery store, they don't do that anymore. They say, did you find everything? Because if you ask them how they are, it's disingenuous, really, if you don't know them. And the other thing is they might tell you, and that might that might derail your conversation. So depending on who you're calling.
Yeah, I don't know if I needed to know about his gout. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think that it's just really human connection and showing them that you're genuine and that you really care about them. If you know someone and have a relationship, can you ask them how they're doing? Yes, but ask them if it's a good time first. There's nothing more embarrassing than, even if it's a friend, not asking, and then halfway, through your second sentence, they're like, I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting. And that's happening a lot because people are listening to Zoom meetings, but they're answering their phones because it might be important. So it's really a number one for avoiding being commoditized and perceived as a sales guy or person.
Yeah, that is such a great point. For me, so often I tend to assume if they're picking up, then then they can talk. And I love what you're saying here, because so many people are trying to juggle and are trying to do two things at once. So just because they're picking up doesn't mean that it's a good time.